Today we're being joined by North Melbourne AFLW youngster Bella Eddey. Bella, thanks for coming on.
No worries, Cooper. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. Tell us a bit about yourself for people that don't know too much about you, what type of player you are, and how the journey came to playing footy.
The journey pretty much came about. I didn't really play footy when I was younger, but I was a massive Hawk supporter, so saw all the
Mm.
premierships and things like that. But there was no real AFLW or really girls footy growing up, so there was no point really playing it. The little bits of girls footy that did exist, so I played basketball and things like that. And then when the AFLW was made, it was pretty much a no-brainer for me. I quickly made the switch across and kind of got lucky and got into the right pathways and happened to be good enough to actually earn a spot in AFLW through the draft with North. But been at North
Mm.
since 2020 and playing small forward at the moment and have had a little stint on the wing, but have settled down into the
Yeah.
small forward role for now.
So obviously in your first 3 years at the club, you've been in a two-time under-22 squad member, you won the best first-year player at North, played 43 games so far. How you felt at the club so far? Because it seems to be pretty good so far. You've been in 3 years and playing most weeks.
Yeah, it's felt pretty good ever since I walked in the doors there. They're such a great club, so welcoming, and the girls, we've got such a great bunch down there, and they've just made it so enjoyable and able for me to really, I feel like I've really grown and developed as a player since being there. Um, yeah, I've managed to play, I think, every game since I've arrived. So, I couldn't have done it without the club and the girls. But yeah, it's been heaps of fun, and I'm really excited to see what's in store as well for the rest of this season in particular.
For sure. So we'll backtrack to the draft night. Pick 13 in the 2020 draft. How was that night for you, and how was the whole day for you before and after the draft?
Yeah, that draft was a weird one because it was all through COVID, so it was just
Yeah.
online, and I'd only played 3 games of top age footy that year because everything got cancelled. So it was kind
Yeah.
of nervous, like wondering whether you've done enough in your junior footy to prove yourself. But yeah, I'd spoken to quite a few clubs, so I did like my chances on the night. I definitely wasn't expecting to go pick 13. I wasn't expecting to go so high, but it was definitely nice. I was super stoked when it was North as well.
Before the actual event, did you speak to North much? So, did you have that feeling that they could be a club that's shown some interest in you and potentially pick you up?
Yeah, I'd spoken to North a couple times, and we'd had like really good conversation and things like that, and we seemed to get on well, and it seemed like it'd be a good fit. I thought it'd
Yeah.
be a good fit, but obviously I don't have a say in where I go, but they held their cards very close to their chests,
Mm.
and I really wasn't sure if they were that keen on me or not. I actually thought I would probably be at another club. A couple other clubs had kind of openly told me that they would happily have me, so I really wasn't
Yeah.
sure with North. So it was a really nice surprise when it was them who called my name out.
Now, generally, some draftees, generally in the last few years that I've asked, they seem to have these weird recruiting questions that they get asked. Do you remember any weird recruiting questions you had asked at that stage?
I don't really think I got too many weird ones. I think the weirdest was maybe just if I could pick anyone in the world to go to dinner with. And that's
Mm.
not even that weird, really. But that was probably the
Yeah,
only obscure question that I got. So I probably got lucky.
that's true. Thoughts on the season so far for the team? Obviously, you are going really well. Obviously, going to be playing finals from next week. We're pretty happy with how you girls are going.
Yeah, definitely pretty happy with how we're going. We've had a few good wins and a couple of narrow losses to some of those
Mm.
top teams. And yeah, I guess externally we've received a bit of a knock for not being able to beat those teams, but we feel really confident coming out of the Adelaide game that we've shown that we're capable of
Mm.
beating them. And it would have been nice to get the win. And we narrowly lost in the dying minutes there, but I think we've taken some good lessons and we've definitely gotten a lot of belief from that game. And yeah, I think the season's looked really great so far, and we've grown over the course of the season. So I think we're in a good position come finals time to have a really good crack at it. But yeah, we'll see what happens.
So tell us a bit more about that Adelaide game. Obviously, probably I personally watching that whole game, they were probably in control for most of it, and then they just pinched it late. Do you put it down to if the playing a team that obviously in the top four, that's kind of it's obviously not a good thing losing, but it helps going into finals because you very likely play against those type of sides again, and to have that experience and know what you have to do next time.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. Obviously, would have liked
Mm,
to come away with the win and the 4 points, but yeah, I
mm,
think come next time in that situation, yeah, those top teams, especially finals games, that was a finals-like game, and they're all
yeah,
going to be pretty close like that. So I think we've taken some invaluable lessons, and we've already received some great education from the club this week around, those kind of dying minutes and what we should have done differently. So I think next time we'll be in a really good position if the game's that close again. And yeah, there's a good chance we could be versing Adelaide, I think, next
yeah,
week. So I think everyone will be really excited about that. It was a great game to be a part of and really good for footy just in general for fans like yourself to watch and to be a part of
yeah,
it. So they're a great side. They've been a great side for the pretty much the whole time in AFLW. So they've
yeah.
definitely set the benchmark. But yeah, they're a great team, and to serve it up to them like we did was a real testament to our group. And hopefully next time we can get the job done.
That's sure. As you said, as well said too with them. Obviously the Bulldogs this week. How do you feel you're going to go against it? Obviously, I know they're a side that struggled, but when I was speaking to Jay Britt from the Eagles, but the week before they played the Bulldogs, they're saying about they got a good win against the Bombers, but you can't get complacent, and then look what they end up having. They end up losing to the Bulldogs. So how do you go in against the Bulldogs? Obviously now they'll be on a high after their first win of the season, which has taken them a while with all their injuries they've had too.
Yeah, definitely. As you said, they've just come off a win, so they'll be on a high and looking to continue that
Mm,
form, and kind of end their season on a really positive note. So,
mm,
down at North, where Croc, our coach, he's really big on every
yeah.
week, it's just week to week, and it does sound cliche, and people say it all the time, but I feel
Mm,
like down with us, we actually really believe that we don't treat any game any differently or create ones, against a top team to be a bigger event than another one during the home and away season. It's
mm,
really important for us to go in and really solidify our brand of footy and have a really great game for belief and confidence as well leading into finals. So it's a really important game for us as well. And the Bulldogs, yeah, they've struggled, but they're still a great side. And they've got some quality players, some real young guns. You still got Ali Blackburn and Kirsty Lamb in there. So yeah, you definitely can't underestimate them, I don't think. So
yeah.
hopefully the girls will just come out firing. Yeah.
Who are some players at the Bulldogs that you feel that you need to quality influence off to have a win?
Yeah, I would definitely think someone like Ali, like probably yeah, Blackburn and Lammy. I feel like they're just the engine room for the Bulldogs. When they're up and firing, the team's really up and going too. And they've got a few dangerous players all across the ground. I think Katie Lynch in the back line is so pivotal for them as well. So as a forwards, I'm sure she'll be a focus for us to try and nullify the impact that she's going to have on the game.
What's a week to week like for an AFLW player? Also, you get some different stories with different clubs. They sometimes training 4 times a week. What's the week like for you at North Melbourne?
At the moment, we train 3 times throughout the week, and then we obviously play on the weekend. So
Yeah,
we train all day on a Tuesday, mostly reviews and meetings from the week before, and then um, Wednesday and Friday we kind of have our main sessions where we start to look towards the opposition and how we might go about beating them. But yeah, just 3 weeks and 3 times throughout the week. Sorry, and um,
yeah.
4 times during preseason. Yeah.
So Danielle Ponta, I'm sure you recollect the goal she kicked at Saturday from the centre square. Do you think you or any other team would be able to replicate that, or who thinks they'd be able to replicate that?
Well, I've got Jazz Garner on my team, so I guess I'd
Yeah,
probably say if anyone can, it's Jazzy Garner. Yeah, I think we all know what a player she is, and she's
yeah,
capable of things like that. So yeah, I'd probably go with her.
that's fair. Any favourite teammates you got? The club?
Oh, yeah, I do love all my teammates, but
Mm,
they're all a great bunch of girls, and but yeah, naturally you are closer to a few. But yeah, Jazz Ferguson and Amy Smith for me, they've kind of been the ones since the start that I've got there. We've been super close, and Ferg really holds down that fullback role really well for the team. So yeah,
yeah.
huge shout out to her as well.
Is there any teammates at training that you just don't like matching up on? Is it Jazz? Who is someone that you have to match up on a training that you just don't like, or someone that you think you can get a number on and beat them?
Yeah, lucky for me, Jazz usually takes the key forward, so I usually get away from her. But actually, I'd have to say definitely Erica O'Shea.
Yeah,
I hate when she comes over to me. She's super athletic and so competitive, and she's just so quick. I can't keep up. And she's
yeah,
she's Irish and learning the game, so sometimes I think I've got her with my footy smarts, but she's just so athletic. She always comes back to find me. So yeah, for me, she's probably one of the harder ones to play on. But we have really, I think we've got one of the best back lines in the competition. So any defender that comes up on training it's always a challenge. You know, you still got Emma Carney down there as well, who's always putting up a fight and super strong and experienced. So yeah, it's really great to have that really competitive environment at training. It really helps you grow your game.
Sure, you obviously got a lot of experienced players. You've got Sheila, Garner, Kearney, and plenty others as well. Like that, so high up on the ladder, and it must show a lot of confidence. Some of the younger players you got, like Neve Martin, Ruby Tripodi, Taylor Fair, yourself as well. It must be pretty cool to be playing alongside a lot of players that are in their first year or a couple of years, and got those experienced girls, and you're still going very strong as well with that mixture as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think that mixture is super important, you know, because obviously we want success, but we also want to be set up for long-term success as well. So I think, especially being a younger player, I'm probably the one who's going to be around in the long term. So I'm more
Yeah,
thinking how great it is that those younger players, exactly right, are getting that experience and you know, rocking up to a club with the likes of those players that you mentioned, those experienced players, and there's no one better to learn off, you know, than those players. So I think it really fast tracks our development. Just even if you're not getting games, just to train alongside them. But we have been able to get some games into our young players, and I think that's really great because there's nothing like the experience of game day, and that's probably where
yeah,
I've been really fortunate to have already played 43 games. I think you said so like just in
yeah,
terms of the experience of experiencing game day and the physicality and the pace of it, the more you play, the more you get used to that, and the more you just get confident as a player. So I think, yeah, having that mix is so great for our team, and I think we've done a really good job. But those experienced girls that we've got are just really great people as well, and always helping us out. So I think yeah, we've got a good balance at the moment.
that's good. Any coach's pet? Does Darren have a coach's pet?
Yeah, if you ask pretty much any of my teammates, they'd probably say it's me, but I beg to differ on that one. Um,
Yeah.
nah, yeah, there's a few girls that Darren really likes. Tess Craven, Taylor Gatt would probably be up there. Um,
Yeah.
I guess I'd say myself as well, Kate Sheila.
That's fair. Any outside of footy interest? You got any TV shows, movies that you like watching or binge watching or whatever they call it these days?
Yeah, I don't mind a little bit of Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm binge watching Modern Family at the moment, an oldie
No,
but a
no.
classic. Yeah, never
Yeah.
goes wrong, that one.
Yeah. I'd be the same with some shows, even if some shows or series that have finished ages ago, and I just rewatch them over and over again. Sometimes, not all the time, but you just get so hooked on a show, and even though you know what's coming up in certain episodes, you're like, I just still got to rewatch it anyway. Um,
Yeah, exactly.
What's the best individual game you feel you've ever played in, whether it's an individual game from seeking a certain amount of goals or beat a really tough opponent, or a good team successful win?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's probably a few that do come to mind. One might be this year against Carlton. It's probably my career best game to date, just in terms of not even the stat line, but just the
Yeah.
impact, and it was a great team game. But I do think one of my all-time favourite games was last year. It was the qualifying final maybe, against Richmond.
Yep.
We'd drawn with them in round 10, and then we came up against them in the second week of finals to make the prelim, and there was a bit of, you know, we just played them and drawn, so there's a lot of tension and there's a bit of
Yeah.
banter over the ground that it was going to be played at because they really wanted to keep it at Punt Road. So there was, you know, there's a bit going
Yeah.
into it, and our whole team, you know, it was just an absolute team performance that day. Every individual put in, and we got a great result, and it was a great game. And I'd say that's probably been my favourite game to date to be a part of, and individually as well. I had a nice day out.
It's good. So obviously being a forward, what's the best goal you've ever kicked? Doesn't have to be for
Best
North Melbourne,
goal.
can be anywhere, locally or whatever, or juniors.
Um, I don't know. I did kick
Any
one.
boundary pocket?
Yeah, probably in juniors. I probably kicked one from the boundary in juniors. In AFLW, I mean, my first goal, like it wasn't anything special. It was literally from the goal square, and I almost missed it.
Yeah.
But it was still a goal, and you never ever forget your first goal. So that's probably my favourite in AFLW. Yeah.
Who do you feel is the best player in the competition for this season? Because it's really tough. I got my own
Um,
medal, and there's probably 10 names you could really choose from.
yeah, it's really tough, and you know, I guess I am biased, so I would have to go with Jazz Garner. I think I've touched on her before, but I just don't think
Yeah.
there's much that she can't do. And I think for a midfielder, her ability to consistently impact on the scoreboard for me is probably what sets her apart from some of the other elite mids in the competition. And but if I had to step outside of my own club, I'd probably go Kate
Yeah.
Hoare. I think her impact on the game is phenomenal. Her ability to kind of play everywhere, all over the ground, and she's so impactful. You know, when we played her, pretty sure I turned to my player who was on me at one point and just said, "Bloody hell! Like she's just so good. She just took this ripper mark over us." And
Yeah.
but yeah, I still think Jazz Garner. I think this is the year for her to finally win the best and fairest. But we'll
Yeah.
see what the umpires think.
She'd definitely be up there for sure. I was going to ask you about that, so you just answered it for me. So I'll go to the next one. Who loves the limelight, the attention, the camera, can just not get enough of it?
Who loves the limelight? Ooh, probably Mia King, I reckon. She doesn't mind a bit of a day in front of the camera, and she's really good at it. She's got such a great personality, and she's very funny, so she does a great job, and I think secretly she loves it.
It's good. If you could poach another player or a player or players from another club, who would you like to poach to join North or just in general?
Oh, I think there's a few that have come to mind. I think for me, one that I think is very underrated throughout the competition, who I think would be very handy, is actually Tyler Hanks.
From
I
Melbourne, yeah.
think, yeah, I think she's absolutely underrated in this competition. She's so classy. When she gets the ball, something good almost always happens. She doesn't need, a heap of touches to make something happen in the game for her team. So she's definitely
Yeah.
one that springs to mind. And Kate Hall probably another one, and Danielle Ponta as well, if you're kind of after that X factor.
So you mentioned
Player.
Tyler Hanks. That's good. So I know you just mentioned Tyler Hanks there. So I know she's probably going to be put in this answer, maybe some others as well. Who do you feel in the competition is underappreciated a bit, that doesn't get as talked much? So like Tyler or anyone else in particular?
Yeah, again, bit of bias here coming from North Melbourne, but I definitely think Jenna Bruton is absolutely underrated in the competition. I think we have such a strong mid, and we know we've got
Yeah.
Jazz Gardner in there and Ash Riddell, and we've also got Emma Carney floating around the field. So I think Jenna doesn't get much attention, which she probably likes. But I think she's an absolutely incredible player, and she goes about it week in, week out, super hard at the ball. Her skills super classy, and just gets in and under and plays the absolute team role and has an impact almost every single week. And I think any team in the competition would love to have Jenna on their team. So yeah, I'd probably say Jenna, and then yeah, as I mentioned before, I do think Tyler Hanks as well.
Yeah, mentioning Jenna was probably a good choice because, obviously when people talk about North Melbourne, they're always going to bring up Garner and Riddell, and rightfully so too. But then, as you said, Jenna's probably got very similar stats and having really good impact as well. It's just because those other two names I just mentioned are in the same team, and that's probably why she doesn't get talked about as much.
Yeah, definitely, and as you said, rightfully so, that Jazzy and Ash get spoken about. Both are absolute superstars, and Ash's ability and her work rate and her ability to get the ball for us and get it going forward is second to none. And they're both such valuable players. But yeah, I suppose they probably do get more of that outside recognition, and deservedly so. So yeah, if you're thinking about someone who maybe doesn't and probably does deserve it as well, I'd definitely say Jenna.
Yeah, obviously, you guys got a fair few Irish girls in the team. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who is your favourite Irish girl at the club?
Oh no, I can't answer that because if they hear it, the other one will get annoyed at me. I love all the Irish girls, to be honest, and even all the ones that we've had. We used to have Aileen Gilroy as well.
Yeah.
All the Irish. I don't know if you've ever met any or had any on the podcast.
Yeah.
They're all so lovely and so chatty, and couldn't have a bad word to say about either of them. But yeah, absolutely love. We've got Ricky and Neve at the moment, and we've got Vicky Wall as well, who's currently trying to make the Olympics. So she hasn't been with us this season, but I think Ricky and Neve, they're both so young, come across the world, and they're doing a fantastic job. So can't pick between them.
That's a good answer. No, I've met Neve before at the games a couple of times, and then she had her on the podcast about probably actually a week before she debuted. So that was very coincidental as well. But yeah, no, she's a ripper. And Erica I met at the Port game as well, and they're both really nice people. So yeah, it'd be a hard one to choose. What's something someone does at the club that you cannot stand? Whether it's something that really annoys you.
Yeah, it's actually an easy question. I think most girls would probably answer the same. Jazz Ferguson is a little bit of a pest. known as a little bit of a pest around the club. She'll just be walking around and she'll come up and pinch you, or if you're sunburnt, she'll slap your sunburn and things like that.
Yeah.
But so probably that. But like, it's all fun and games. We absolutely love her for it. So it's all a good time.
That's good. Have you heard of AFLW Fantasy, and do you play it?
I have heard of it. I don't play it though. I helped my brother form a team. He was doing
nice.
it, and he had a few questions to ask. So yeah, I've definitely heard of it, and I am a bit of a super coach player in the men, so
nice.
I knew the gist of AFLW Fantasy, but I don't play it myself.
Okay. So you did mention Supercoach, so I'm going to bring this up. How do you normally go in your rankings with Supercoach? Do you go top 10% range? Do you go much worse than that, much better than that? How do you go in Supercoach?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm amazing, but I'm not the worst. I think I'm pretty good. My downfall is I'm a little bit impatient. I don't let, like, if they're starting to play a bit bad, I usually get rid of them pretty quickly when then they get back in form, and then I should have just kept them in. But Supercoach is all good fun. It's a good concept.
I love Supercoach. Generally, I finish most of the time around the top 10%. Funnily enough, 2 years ago, around this time 2 years ago, I actually won the weekly prize. Actually, might not even been 2 years ago. So that was pretty cool. And I had a fair few people message me going, "Oh, Cooper, did you won the prize?" I said, "No, I didn't." I said, "I know I've had a really good score this round, but I haven't won it." And because the people that told me that always lie to me about a lot of these type of things, I just didn't believe them. I was like, yeah, okay. And then I had to look to myself, and I was like, "Oh, I actually did." But that was really, really cool and surprising. So going back to AFLW Fantasy, who would pick themselves
in our team if they were doing it?
Yeah, if they were doing it, who would pick themselves?
I don't know. Probably the ones who consistently score well.
That's true.
Yeah,
probably warranted then.
Yeah, exactly. Probably just the ones where it's warranted. I wouldn't pick myself. I'm too unreliable. Too inconsistent. But if I was Ash Riddell, I'd pick myself. Yeah, for fantasy. If I was Ash Riddell, I'd pick myself, because he always gets big fantasy scores. So, yeah, I think if it was warranted, it would be fair enough. But I can't think of anyone who would pick themselves.
That's fair. I've actually got, speaking of Riddell and Garner, I've got them both in at the moment. And this week, doing a few changes that brought Jenna Bruton in. So, let's see. I want a dominant midfield performance this week.
Yeah, I'll let him know. Training tomorrow.
That's good. Does anyone check their this is very similar, but does anyone check their stats as soon as the game's over, whenever you get the chance to look? Or any competitions between each other?
No, there's definitely no competitions between each other in terms of stats. I'm sure everyone looks at them. We're only human. I've never really seen anyone looking straight after the game. We all just like to, enjoy the win if we've won, and then if we've lost, kind of regroup and reconnect again. But I mean, everyone absolutely would look at them, but we really do try to value other things within the club internally. Obviously the stats are great and they do send it, like, what happened in the game. You can have a look, but there's also a lot of things that aren't recorded on the stat sheet. Like for key forward, just bringing the ball to ground, that's not recorded on the stat sheet, but something that we value really heavily. So sometimes it tells part of the story, but it doesn't give the full picture. So we try not to value it too much.
Sure. Who's the toughest opponent you've ever had to match up on in AFLW?
Yeah, there's been a few real close matchups. When I was on the wing, I'd probably say playing on like a Paxman was really difficult, and Ebony Antonio was also really hard. They're just, really fit and strong players, and they've just played that role so well. And, I remember with Paxi in particular, I didn't even know where she was half the time. So, and then you're like, where is she? And she's over there getting the ball. So, they've been really tough, but I've had a few tough defensive matchups as well, playing in the forward line. When we played GWS, found Tani Evans. She's another young up-and-coming star. I found her very difficult to play on as well.
Yeah, some very tough opponents there to match up on for sure, and some with experience as well. Mark or goal of the year? Which one would you rather?
Well, that's a good question. I think I'd rather goal of the year. Yeah.
Good answer. That's a good answer. I love that answer because when I did play as a forward, because I don't play now, but when I did, and I still love doing goal kicking comps and everything like that, but I always love a goal. And the last few people I've had on have said goal, but the first probably 7 or so that I did ask this question have all said Mark. So it's nice to see the goals starting to be the answers the last week now. their love a goal as well. Rising star tip for this year, because obviously there's probably three contenders: Ella Roberts from the Eagles, Zali Goldsworth from the Giants, and Ali Morford from the Swans. Is anyone outside of them or one of those girls that you feel that will win the Rising Star this year?
Yeah, I'm pretty flat. Taylor Gatt hasn't had a nod yet. I think she's had an incredible season for us, and pre the season starting, that was my hot tip for the Rising Star. But yeah, she hasn't received a nomination yet. That's all right. But yeah, I'd probably say one of the three you just mentioned. I think Ali Morford's been incredible and just really disappointing. And sad for her to see her go down with that injury. And I think particularly in the last few weeks, Zali Goldsworth is really burst onto the scene and really announced herself there. And to be able to kick 5 goals and whatever she did that other game for a young player, 18-year-old, that's a pretty incredible achievement. So. And I think she's been building nicely. I'll probably put it in between those two.
That's fair. It's funny because most of the girls I've asked is their teams either not playing finals or they're not one of the top 4 teams. And your side, it's going to be a stupid question, but I'm just going to ask it anyway. Premiership tip.
Premiership tip. Yeah, definitely the Kangaroos. Easy one for me there. Yeah, the Kangas. I think we can do it. We just got to string it all together.
Sure. Extended season. You're happy that the games are going to get pushed out? I think it's 12 games next year, and then hopefully more after that.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're all here because we love playing footy and we want to play more of it. 10 games in the scheme of things, it's really not a long time in the whole year. Of that, a whole year you only play 10 times. So I think just the more that teams can play together and have that experience and connect and all that thing and work on their game plan, the longer time we have to do that, because 2 more games also means 2 more weeks of preseason. So I think you only see that the game will grow and get better. And obviously we see the boys playing 24 games, and it'd just be nice to have a few more. So I think we're all really excited. That we're slowly building our way up to what we all want, is hopefully a 17 game season where we all play each other once.
That'd be ideal for sure. Interstate trips. Do you like interstate trips?
I do really like them. It's such a fun time. You get to go away with like 20 of your best mates, and we go away quite a lot with our affiliation to Tasmania. We travel 2 more times than other Victorian teams, so we are getting on the plane quite a lot. But yeah, it's really good fun. Although I did do the Perth trip for the first time in my career this year, and maybe was a little bit too far away. It's quite a big trip for 1 or 2 nights, but it was still really fun. So I do love the interstate trips.
What between the interstate trips and the home trips, what's the difference between the two, like in terms of a preparation? Obviously the flying's obviously the major one, but what do you get up to compared to, say, a home game day game to an interstate game in the morning part?
Yeah, I suppose the difference is probably when you're at home, you kind of do things yourself, if that makes sense, because you just cook yourself breakfast and you kind of run on your own time, and when you want to do things, you leave for the game when you want to leave, and all these kinds of things. But when you're away, breakfast, you can go out for breakfast, but the hotel breakfast is on at a certain time. Obviously they don't have every food available that maybe you might want to eat. The bus leaves from the hotel at a scheduled time. So that's probably the major difference, is just when you're at home, you get to kind of run on your own time and your own schedule. And when you're away, you don't. So I guess a bit of compromise there.
That's fair. All right, I'm going to start with the quiz, Bella. So let's see, test your knowledge on your own teammates to see. So there's going to be 3 questions. Now, no pressure, but the last 2 guests I've had on, that's when I've started the quiz, they've both got 3 out of 3. So we'll see how you go. So the pressure's on. They're all going to be current North Melbourne AFLW players, so that they're not previous players or nothing. So at least you'll be familiar with the players that you are with. All right. So how it'll go is I'll give you 2 clues. Then you have to guess. If you get that wrong, I'll then give you the final clue. Then you have to get at that one. Otherwise, then we're really all good to go.
Yeah, right. Let's give it a crack.
All right. This should be the easy one. All right. This player. That's the first.
Sorry, you cut out, so I didn't hear what you said.
That's right. That's all good. So this player is forward, and they're 21 years of age.
I feel like Can I have a clue?
Oh, that kind of easy. All right. There were. I'll give you another one. They've played over 20 games.
Oh, I feel like it's like because that fits me, which is why I'm confused. But I don't think it would be me, so it'd have to be Alice O'Loughlin.
No, it's not Alice. So, all right, the final clue now. I'm going to be specific with the games number here. 43 games.
So it is me.
It is. And what is funny,
That's a trick
now I can say
question.
that's true. What I can say now that you've answered that is Jade and Eric have both struggled more with the question about themselves than they did about their other two teammates for the other two questions. So you're not the only one to fall for that. So, and they also both got to the second stage, but they nailed the other one. So let's see how you go with these ones. All right, next
All right.
question, question 2. This player, so the 2 clues, recently made their debut, and they're a great person.
Recently made their debut. It'd have to be Neve Martin.
Perfect. And I was going to give the giveaway, the dead giveaway clue would have been Irish, but that was well, you technically got a few options to pick from, but that obviously is more fits in the bill. So that's 2 for 2. Good work. All right, last one. This one might be a little bit more harder. All right, this player is kicked 3 goals against Port Adelaide this season, and they're from Q.
It's Alice O'Loughlin.
Good, perfect. Yeah, that you probably got it straight, short, sharp. The best of the 3 so far. So Bella, I really appreciate you coming on. Well done. You know your own North teammates. So that's a good thing. And you didn't get any wrong. Otherwise, they might have given you stick for it. But appreciate you coming on, Bella. All the best for this week against the Doggies, and then for the finals as well. Appreciate you coming on.
No worries, Cooper. Thanks so much for having me. It was a good chat.
Nice, thank you.